appreciate it when others listen to you, especially at the workplace. But have you ever wondered, are you a good speaker? Good listener? But have you ever wondered, are you a good listener? Do you talk while people are talking to you? Do you interrupt them in the middle of their speech, or do you have to ask people to repeat themselves to you? Are you assessing your speaker and does it interfere in your listening skills? If yes, if you have answered yes to one or more of these questions, then you need to learn listening skills. In today's session, we are going to talk about what listening skills are and what is the difference between hearing and listening, characteristics of poor listeners, and definitions and significance of listening skills and types of listening skills. We have also the topics on types of listeners, effective listening, features of listening, and also benefits of listening skills, how to become an effective listener by using mindfulness to improve listening skills. So let's get started. With me, Waheeda, Assistant Professor at the Institute of Aeronautical Engineering, Dundigal. In today's video, we'll focus more on the active listening aspects. So why does speaking and listening and reading and writing, the LSRW skills that we always talk about, why does listening comes first? Because listening is the first and the foremost important thing in communication, and active listening is all the more important. Even in our LSRW skills, listening comes first. Even in our lives, listening comes first. As soon as a child is born, he or she listens to the people around him or her for the rest of the 10 months. Until then, the child doesn't speak. The nature has designed the LSRW skills in such a manner. First, the person listens, and there requires a lot of conscious focusing on what has to be what has to be learned. In this manner, listening plays a significant role. What is listening? The process of receiving, constructing meaning from, and responding to spoken and or non-verbal messages to hear something with thoughtful attention is called listening. The ability to accurately receive and interpret messages in the communication process is about listening. Then we are going to see as to what is the difference between hearing and listening. Actually, hearing is a passive activity and listening is an active activity. Hearing refers to the act of receiving any sounds involuntarily. The sounds are falling into your ears unintentionally. You are not focusing on that, but some sounds are coming and hitting your ears. That is hearing. But listening refers to the act of making a conscious effort to perceive the sound. This requires a conscious effort from your side. You need to focus your attention towards what is being told. Then only you will be able to listen effectively. Otherwise, it goes in hearing, and if you are not having any conscious efforts from your side, then it is hearing, and there are no chances that you are going to restore it, or you are going to store it in your long-term memory. And this is also an involuntary act. Hearing is an involuntary act, and listening is voluntary. Listening skills are the ways to help you listen something more effectively. These are varied skill sets that the listeners should adapt in order to make communication an effective and useful process. It's not an inborn quality. You have to make yourself prepared to learn to communicate effectively. You can see there are so many sounds, so much of communication happening around you. You need to focus on that and to avoid misunderstandings and to avoid messages being broken into pieces, and of course taking things in a halfway and avoiding misunderstandings. You need to communicate to avoid errors. It will help you to learn something new. If you are listening effectively, it will help you communicate without errors. It helps you learn something. It is a key to success. Many successful people have stressed a lot on listening abilities. If they are given important employers are given training for their employees to work effectively, so that there is production effective. They are productive. The employees are productive, and they are creative in their own way if they listen effectively. And lot of misunderstandings and lot of mistakes can be avoided if the employees listen effectively and perform their duties in an effective manner. Okay, so it is very essential that we learn. There are different types of listening skills. There is discriminative listening and pretense listening and selective listening, or active listening for that matter. Uh, Discriminative listening involves the identifying the difference between various sounds. It also enables one to differentiate between familiar and unfamiliar language. Like, you are listening to so many things around you, as I told you just now, but you will recognize only the things that you know, only the vocabulary that you understand, only the language that you know. If some Japanese or unfamiliar languages are spoken around you, you will be able to distinguish that, discriminate this from the language that you know or the words that you understand. This is what is discriminative learning. Then we have active listening. It is the communication technique which is used in counseling, training, and conflict resolution. It requires that the listener fully concentrates and understands and responds to remember what is being said, because it has to go into the long term memory to retain. What is our knowledge? Our knowledge is our memory. If we put the information that we have learned into our long term memory, that it retains, we learn something. When new things about those previous things learned come, we accumulate that one after the other in layers of understanding. Then our concepts are grown. I mean, when as a human being grows into an adult, then they have the previous knowledge about the learned concepts earlier, some words in language. Then they accumulate that all those things and develop their knowledge, and they also share their knowledge accordingly. Then we have this pretense listening. It involves more hearing than listening. In this pretense, they are faking attention. They are pretending through facial expressions and their body language that they are actually listening, but they are not doing it in the real sense of the word. They are just focusing. Their mind has wandered somewhere. They are into planning something, or they are planning how to respond, what to tell after this. Usually, this type of listening is called pretense listening. Then we have selective listenings. It involves the selecting the desired part of the message and ignoring the undesired part of the message. Usually, this happens when the ability of that person, the listener, is more than the ability to speak from the speaker side. Usually, human beings have, in general, they can register from 5 to 600 words per minute, intelligent people. But the minimum is 100 to 125 words. If the information is coming very slowly, or it is broken into pieces, the person who has the capacity to register 500 to 600 words per minute feels he is having more time, more useless time in that so period. So he wanders, he shifts his attention to something else, in imagining something. Meanwhile, it is disadvantageous. The the listener might lose lot of important information in the due course. So this selective listening is very bad when compared to pretentious or other type of listening. So people should not use this. Then we have categorized our listeners into different types of groups of listeners. They are non-listeners, superficial listeners, logical listeners, and active listeners. They are broadly classified into, categorized into 4 types of listeners. So these 4 types of listeners can be sometimes uh, all together in one person, or if they make it into a habit, they if they are continuing with this same kind of bad listening habits, then they might become one. But in a normal surrounding, normal situation, a person can be all the 4 types of listeners. Usually, a non-listener does not intend to uh, listen to the speaker, does not hear or does not listen, and does not make an effort to pay attention to what is being told. The non-listener would rather do all the talking, rather show such a body language or show facial expressions that he or she constantly interrupts the speaker, and also attempts to have the last word. They offer words to the speaker, or they give the last word and try to finish off the conversation. Then we have the superficial listeners. These listeners hear what you are saying, but does not grasp the point where you are what point you are making. These listeners listen only for the basic meaning of the spoken words, and they do not notice the body language, voice, tone, and other important forms of communication, like non-verbal communication. They do not observe the facial expressions or the underlying meanings behind the words that are spoken. Then we have the logical listeners. They try to hear what you are saying and to comprehend the meaning of the actual words. They are focusing mainly on what we are trying to say, and they try to understand the actual words. They do not understand your intent or meaning behind the words. They do not have, concentrate on the words that it's those words that are imbibed, or the underlying meanings that are there, or some puns, or the sarcasm that is left behind some of the words. They this type of listeners don't concentrate much on that. And then we have the active listeners. That is the best way of listening. Active listening, this type of listeners concentrate, and they have to have emotional effort. They have to exert if they want to become active listeners. Active listener will not judge you as you speak, but will try their best to understand what you are trying to say, and in other words, they will respect your point of view. And when you listen actively to others, you give them respect. And it's a rule of nature, that if you give respect and you receive respect, that's how you can be an active listener and respect others and get respected as well. Then we are going to talk about the effectiveness of listening, how effectiveness of listening is important in today's high tech, high speed, and high stress world. Communication is more important than ever, yet we seem to devote less and less time to really listening to what others say. Because genuine listening has become a rare gift. It has become a gift of time. Oh, because people have many other things to do, and they are having less time, and they do not have much time to listen to others, and they cannot offer their shoulder to cry on. Genuine listening has become a rare gift now. But if one does active listening, or listens to other people, it will help build relationships and solve lot of problems. It will ensure understanding, resolve conflicts, problem solving can be done, and by proving accuracy, it will improve accuracy, as well as your personal as well as interpersonal relationships can be developed if you are an effective listener. Then we'll talk about effectiveness of at at work. Effective listening means fewer errors and less wasted time. How does it help us? If you are a good listener, you are an effective listener. If information is given to you by your team head, you are taking in the information, you are actively listening to what is being told, and you are registering it in your memory, long term memory. That's how when you go to perform that activity or go to that work, you make fewer errors, and fewer errors means less wasted time, less waste of energy, and the resources that are made available to you will be also less, and you can utilize your time in a better manner, by giving productive work to the organization. And when you are performing better at your workplace, your stress levels also are uh, I mean managed, and this is like a circle, thing leading to the other. And if your relationship or your performance at your workplace is good, your self-esteem increases, and when self-esteem is accumulated one after the other in layers, then it leads to confidence, and if you are confident, you perform things in a better manner, and if you perform things in a better manner, you will again gain confidence that will help you in better performance at your workplace, and this will even lead into your personal life. This will affect your personal life as well. You are able to devote a lot of the required time to your family, and if your family is happy, they'll treat you well, and your confidence again boosts in that fashion. And I mean, as I told you, it is a sort of a circle which is leading one thing leading to the other, ultimately uh, making you a successful person, and the person without depression or anxiety, which has become every alternate person you meet on a daily basis complains about having going through some kind of anxiety, some kind of depression. So if you concentrate on the basic thing, that is the first and the foremost important thing, that is just listening. If you concentrate, so many things that are going to lead and spoil your life can be eradicated. They can be you can save yourself from all these kinds of calamities that might happen in your life. So only main important thing that you must focus on is first and the foremost important thing. The success people have said that if you are asked to learn any one of the four skills, then you should opt for listening skills, to work on listening skill. It is because it's a mental activity. It improves by consciousness and concentration. It is not there as an inborn talent, or it is not has been imbibed in your personality. You need to learn that. That's why it is called as a skill. It is not called as a talent, inborn talent or something like that. It is a skill, and it can be improved by experience, and if you work on towards it, then it will be increased gradually. And there is nothing that if you wish for, you cannot accomplish. Then a non-verbal communication also helps in listening. It stimulates also speaking, because if you are a good listener, you speak well. If you listen well, you speak well. If you read well, you can write well. So it is the basis of all the communication. It involves paying close attention to the sounds that come in your way of communication. Then we have the stages of listening. First, we in the process of listening, what are we doing actually? What is the process that when we are listening to something, we are receiving uh, the information from the sender. We are receivers. As listeners, we are receivers, and we are receiving the information from our speaker. And what are we doing there? We are not analyzing, we are not understanding, we are not doing anything in this stage of receiving. We are just taking in the information. Then the next stage is the understanding. When you take in information, you just try to understand. After having received the information, you are trying to understand what it is. What is the speaker trying to tell us? What are they intending to tell us? What is the information? What is the concept that they have in their mind? We try to understand that. And by trying to understand, we try to transfer it to our memories first. When we are transferring our information by understanding what is that is we are listening to, then we try to remember it. Once we store it, first we store it in the long in your short term memory. Then as you refer to it or revise it, then it gets shifted to your long term memory. There you remember. As I told you earlier also, that remembering actually is our knowledge. If we keep on listening, if we keep on learning certain things, if we are trying to understand certain things, but we are not trying to remember them, we are not trying to restore them in long-term memory, then all this listening, all this reading, will be haywire. It is not going to serve any purpose. So remembrance or your memory plays a significant role in your knowledge, in your memory, in your learning, in your understanding of the message. Then we evaluate the message after remembering it. Then we evaluate the message. What category of the message that it is falling into? Is it very important? Is academic information? Is it general information? Is it the information regarding entertainment? Or is it regarding the language or the concept, the domain knowledge, whatever it is? We evaluate the message as to, we hear everything, we try to listen everything, but we evaluate the message after having remembered it. Then we give feedback. There is a method to do that by paraphrasing whatever we have understood, we have analyzed, or we have evaluated. Then we need to give feedback. Usually what happens, there can arise a lot of misunderstanding at this stage, because how the sender has decoded the message, it's not mandatory that it has to be understood in the same manner by the listener, because of some preconceived notions with the experience of life, or some bitter experiences because of some cultures, some kind of attitudes, of some kind of preconceived notions. We try to block our mental sponge, I would rather call it. So these will act as a hindrance. We are going to deal with that in the barriers of communication, or barriers of listening for that matter. So when you want to give feedback, you can even ask questions to the speaker after they have completely finished their topic. Meantime, if you keep silent and try to listen actively, continue to listen actively, you might be able to clear your doubts. But if your doubts are not clear by the end of the topic has finished, or the conversation of the speaker has finished, then you can clarify your doubts by asking questions to them, and answering them back, or you clarify your doubts through feedback. At this stage, the speaker will get a knowledge of what or how much of the information or how much of listening has happened in. Otherwise, we do very little listening to others. to what our bosses say, what our colleagues say, what our teachers or lecturers talk to us, give lectures to us, and what our relatives at home, our parents and siblings or our relatives talk to us, our neighbors talk to us. Only 7 to 13% of the information is registered in our memories if we are listening passive manner. It's listening in passive manner. So receiving, in the process of listening, we are doing receiving, understanding, remembering, evaluating, and we are giving feedback. That's how the process of listening is completing. Then we categorized the as I told you before, the characteristics of poor listeners. The poor listeners use statements blocking the person speaking from fully explaining his or her point of view. So we need to mm, understand listening skills that will lead to better customer satisfaction, greater productivity, as I told you, fewer mistakes, increased sharing of information. If we are good listeners, we will have information, and that will help us to share our information with others, and creativity and innovative work also can be fostered. Then what is the kind of body language and listening skills go hand in hand. A good listening is more than what words you use when listening. Active listeners communicate without interrupting. They use body language to demonstrate attention and interest. You can even maintain eye contact in this manner. Sit attentively, like make proper body posture. Do not lean back or do not droop down, but you can just lean to the side of the speaker so that it shows that you are interested to talk to them. Have open body postures, and then do not focus your attention towards something else. That is, remove any kind of distractions that are there, your mobile phone or the TV that is playing some kind of music over there, or all, remove all sorts of distractions and show that you are interested. Your facial expression should show, and also you communicate by giving a nod or saying a yes. And how did that happen? Examples of such things like, oh, is it this way or that way, you can ask. Or you can even ask questions and show interest towards the speaker after they have completed. And like this sounds also non-verbal cues you can send to show that you are interested. And while doing so, you keep a smiling face so that you are the speaker should get a impression that you are interested in what is being told, because it is very frustrating and very annoying for the speaker to experience that his or her audience are non-listeners or superficial listeners. It is very, we as speakers think, why are we talking in the first place itself? So do not make your speaker feel in that manner. By showing proper body language and showing interest, just bend little towards the speaker. Then occasionally nod your head in agreement with what the speaker is saying. Don't fold your hands. Always keep an open body posture. That the speaker might interpret your message as negative or hostile. They might think that you are not at all interested if your body posture is closed body posture like that. The speaker might get an impression that you are not interested at all. And you need to smile encouragingly and give your speaker a personal space. There is a standard personal space. Do not go near to the person and make the other person comfortable. Always maintain that posture. And then we have active listening, which is beyond words. In order to understand a deeper message, we need to be completely focusing what is being said and absorbing it without biases. As I told you earlier, do not have any preconceived notions, or do not have bad opinion about others. Do not judge people by their appearance, or if they are coming from different cultures or lower strata of the society, or if they are less educated than you are. Then as opposed to simply glossing over the general message, you need to sit with open mind in front of your speaker, so that you absorb as much information as you can. Like Keats one talked about the negativity that we must have in our minds to absorb the kind of information. If we have something about the previous experiences, or any notion about certain things, we might try to connect it with that. But listen without any biases, without any preconceived notions, or without anything in before it. Don't carry your baggage. Okay, that's a good type of listening. Effective or active listening, you can call it. Then while listening, they can arise a lot of barriers. The physiological barrier, that is, a person does not have the proper hearing ability. They might by going through some kind of surgery or something, they might have lost their hearing ability, or due to some accident, or some people are born with this kind of deformity wherein they are not able to listen properly. So this could act as one of the barriers. And another is the attention deficit. I told you, people are not able to concentrate much, because of their memory problems, or because of their learning habits, or because of some kind of illness also could be one of the reasons. And I told you that people have the ability to register 500 to 600 words per minute, and if the information is coming very slow to them, and they are not able to cope up with that. Or some people are having very less mm, concentration, that is ability to concentrate maybe for 50 to 60 words only. And if the information is coming very fast, in this case also, they are not able to understand or listen effectively. Then we have physical barriers. Barriers could be the distance from where the speaker is talking, and then the listener is listening. Could be about the distance, or maybe the room is smoky, or there is disturbance around, or outside there is some construction work going on, or there is some machinery which is being operated. Then also there are chances that we have physical barriers also. If the room is very hot and people are sweating, and it is overcrowded also, then there arise some kind of barriers in communication, barriers in listening. Then, as I told you, attitudinal barriers. If a person is coming from a rich background, and somebody who is coming from a lower strata of the society, a poor person or a less rich person is speaking, this people have this attitude as to why should I listen to that person. So if this kind of attitude is there, then there will be a barrier in listening. Then assumptions, we have people make assumptions. And then you have cultural barriers also. Fear, difference in culture. Why should I listen to the person who's coming from that culture? uh, could be one of the reasons for improper or barrier of listening. Then gender barriers. Women listen differently than what men listen to. They concentrate more on how things are told rather than the content. So gender barriers also could be, because we are in today's world, both men and women work together, but their ability to listen to things is different. They are made like that. They are I mean, uh, it is imbibed in them. Then another reason could be lack of training. If you are not trained to listen effectively, then there are chances that you are having some kinds of barriers in your listening skills. Bad listening habits: if you are not concentrating on the topic, or you are not at all interested in that. Okay, then we have change in emotions. People might be going through different types of emotions at one particular time, so this could also act as a barrier in communication of listening. How can you improve your active listening skills? So, first and the foremost thing that you should do is remove all the obstacles. Only consider uh, having eye contact with your speaker. Be alert but not intense. Don't show intensity or aggressiveness towards what you want to listen, but keep yourself relaxed. Put your hands on the arms, chairs arm that are provided, or sofa, where you can relax your hands. Keep an open body posture and sit relaxed but attentive. You need to be attentive. Pay attention to non-verbal signs also. Non-verbal signs, the tone of the voice, or how the speaker is speaking, how he or she is using his or her hands, what is the way of communication, like the tone, the modulation, or as well as the intonation. What kind of intonation? Because how things are said matters a lot than what is told. Then how it is told is very important. So we as listeners must concentrate on the tone, rhyme, and rhythm of how it is being told. Then after that, we need to make a mental image of what the speaker is trying to say. Put yourself in the shoes of the speaker. Try to experience those six types of emotions that the speaker exerts. Try to feel that sadness, happiness, anxiety, or disgust, fear, all these things that the speaker tries to use those six types of emotions. Try to feel that whatever the speaker is trying to tell us, try to feel that. Make a mental picture of it while you are keep on, as the information is coming, try to keep on adding to that picture. Okay, then listen effectively. Don't keep don't be ready as to what you will be asking, or don't design your questions in your mind while you are listening, because in that process you will switch yourself from listening to preparing a question or asking for clarifying questions. You are coining or making proper questions in your mind. In that process you just switch mentally. So don't do that, and keep your uh, mouth closed, keep your lips closed while you are listening, so that you are not tempted to open your mouth and ask questions. If you are having any doubt, just jot it down. Keep a notepad, and or keep something beside you, so that you note down what is your doubt, or take down notes. Note keeping is also a very good habit, and it will protect you from that feeling of that temptation to open your mouth and ask questions and interrupt the speaker. Yeah, and then also provide giving feedback to your speaker is very important. It makes sure that the speaker will make sure what was the information, whether the listeners understood in a proper manner, how he intended it to send, is it absorbed by the listener or not. So give proper feedback. If it is needed, you ask questions, paraphrase it, and keep an open mind while you are doing that. I always tell my students as well that always keep an open mind. Even a child has some very good information, motivation to give you. Don't think that he's a small child or she's a small child. What enlightenment can she give me or can he give me? Don't think like that. always have an open mind and think that when I have spoken something or when I have listened something, I'm going to be benefited. I'm going to get some kind of information which will be useful for me, my experiences in life. So it is very essential that you focus your attention on the speaker and on the topic as well. Don't keep your prejudices, as I told you. Remind yourself that there will be the listener not offer you opinion. Pay attention to speaker's body language and facial expressions. It is a very good way to sense the feelings. Use open door openers like these statements, which convey interest and keep the person talking. Like, tell me more. That sounds interesting. When did it happen? Example. As I told you, paraphrase the content. Then you do this skillfully, listening skills skillfully by using the mindfulness to improve listening skills. We can be more aware of obstacles to good listenings while remaining open to the speaker's thoughts and messages. If we listen mindfully, it can help you enhance your listening abilities. It is an act of paying attention in a specific way and also purposefully in the present moment without judgment. You be in the present moment. As I gave you the example about Keats' negativity, you be in the present. Just think of and understand what you are listening, and then don't do it by judging the other person, judging the speaker, because it teaches you to be present in the moment and to let go of the distractions. Then you also monitor your physical and emotional responses to what other people are saying. You're vulnerable to your own prejudices sometimes. So, how to listen mindfully? So, bring mindful into your daily interactions, and so you improve your relationship with others. Listen with intent. Another thing I repeat, we frequently engage in activities and interact with others without giving it much thought. Mindful listening is a process of waking up from the state of unconsciousness. So we should do it in a conscious manner. It requires to be in the moment and should completely focus on the person you are listening to. There are several ways to do that. Allow yourself time. Before meeting with someone, take a minute or two to clear your head. Before the conversation, practice a technique such as scanning down through your body and releasing tension. This could be one of the ways as to how you can detoxify yourself with your negative thoughts. Meditation is one way. This technique can assist you in listening or learning to focus on the present moment when you clear your mind of mental clutter or you make room for other people's perspectives. And the next thing is that wherever you are working, you go for minimal gadgets, or try to keep your room clean and your workplace very tidy. That also can make your workplace neat, and all the devices turned off when you are doing something important. Phones and computers, printers, and other technical devices. Pay attention to your own cues. This helps. Mindful listening can help you maintain awareness of our cues and choose not to let them prevent us from communicating. Listen empathetically. When you are emphatic, you may see things from others' points perspective. Like I told you, put yourself in the shoes of others. You might be able to understand the feelings or the emotion the other person is going through when you are listening with empathy. We don't need to agree with them. You just simply means you recognize that they have a different viewpoint. Okay. In this way, these are some of the ways that you can use to become active listeners and use it to make your lives easy for that matter. With this, I Waheeda, sign off for today.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.